Hi, first grade. Today we're going to talk about rules and why they're important. To always be respectful. If you're respectful, then it takes care of all the other rules. Why do we have rules? We have rules to learn, to be safe, and to have fun. If no one is obeying the rules, it's hard to learn. It's hard to be safe. And we don't have much fun if no one is obeying the rules. It can be really dangerous when someone is not following the rules. Someone can get hurt, and it also can be very disruptive. Somebody will have a difficult time learning if there's too much noise or if people are running around. So that's called chaos. And chaos is when nobody is following the rules. Rule number 1, respect yourself, others, and respect property. That means be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be gentle with everything in the school or other people's property. Don't touch their materials unless you get permission. Respecting others is using kind words like please and thank you or you're welcome. You can say yes ma'am or yes sir. Compliment people and encourage each other. A really good one is to say excuse me. Don't interrupt people when people are talking, but if you have to, say excuse me. And a really important one is to say you're sorry when you hurt someone's feelings. Don't wait, just say I'm sorry immediately and try to make them feel better. Do you see this book cover and how it's smushed? That's because books need to be gently placed on the bookshelf. Otherwise, they can get ruined. Please respect school property. Rule number 2, use a quiet voice. That means that you speak at a level that only the person or people at your table can hear. The people at the other table doesn't need to hear what you're saying. There are 4 voice levels that you can use in the classroom. Level 0 is absolute silence, no talking at all. Level 1 is a whisper, and a whisper sounds like this. Level 2 is a 6-inch voice, where only someone sitting right next to you can hear. That's about this big. Level 3 is table talk. That's where the kids at your table can only hear you speak. Sometimes we need to speak in a louder voice. That's if we're reading to the class or we're saying a speech. But when we're working at our tables, we use a low voice so that we cannot influence or cause anyone to get distracted because of your talking. Rule number 3, keep your hands, feet, and objects to yourself. Do you see how these students are working cooperatively? No one can get hurt because they're keeping their hands, feet, and objects to themselves. Hitting, pushing, or kicking is not respect. Rule number 4, listen to and follow directions. These students were asked to sit quietly, to get a book, and to read a story for 15 minutes. What do you notice about these readers? Are they following directions? Yes, and you can tell that they listen to directions because they're following them. One of the main directions when sitting at the carpet is to sit on your bottom, crisscross applesauce, and raise your hand before you speak. Wait to be called on, because if everyone is talking at once, then no one can hear what is being said. Sometimes we don't get a chance to say what we really want to say, but sometimes we do. It's okay if we don't get chosen every time we raise our hand, but what's important is that we're participating in the lesson, and that is very respectful. Sometimes during a lesson, we might make a connection in our mind. That's awesome and really exciting. and we might feel like we have to say something immediately. But wait till the teacher asks if you have any questions or comments. But don't make your story too long because we don't want the lesson to get derailed and get off track. Save any long story for when you're with a small group or at recess or done early with something. And please don't interrupt a lesson to ask when is recess or when is lunch. Rule number 5, keep your work area clean and pick up after yourself. Never let your work area get this bad. It's hard to tell the difference between school supplies and trash. Take checked work home, put lids on markers, throw trash away, and put your backpacks on your chairs. Do you see these flashcards? They're sitting on a very clean table. And that's because these boys have cleaned up before they started playing the game. It's important to put things away if you're not using them. Just put it back in the place you found it. Pick up any trash, whether it's yours or someone else's, and throw it in the trash can or recycle it. Wipe up any spills that you might have made during lunch or breakfast. Be careful not to make big spills, but if you do, get someone to help you and wipe everything down. That way you can learn without a mess. Keep the sink area clean and don't keep the water running. If you have to go to the restroom, make sure you knock first so that you know nobody's inside. Keep the bathroom clean too. Wash your hands and don't waste paper towels. When throwing away the towel, make sure you hit the trash so we can keep the floor clean. Did you notice that all the rules are about respect? Respecting yourself and others, respecting the school, respecting the classroom and property. It's all about kindness and treating other people with respect. Let's watch some students walk down the hall. Pay attention and tell me what you notice.
I have a little bunny till I'm standing straight and tall. My eyes are facing forward and I'm quiet in the hall.
Check your feet, check your feet. Okay, next up. All right, the second person holds the door. Let's look at this again. Do you notice that all the students are facing forward and that there is an appropriate space between each kid? Do you notice their feet are facing forward and that they are respecting the other classrooms? The line leader stopped at the right spot and then she headed forward to go to the next stop. They're not running. The students aren't touching the walls, and the door holder is the second person in line, and she waits for all the kids to come through. And if you'll notice, you'll see her at the end of the line. Now that's respect. She was second, and now she's last in line. That means the door holder has become the caboose. The students have done a wonderful job getting to special area quietly. Walking down the hall is like driving on the road. Always stay on the right side and stop when you need to stop. We don't go too fast, but we don't go too slow. Watch where you're going. No one needs to cut because we're all going to the same place. It's important that we all stay together and that nobody lags behind. Now, let's talk about recess. Walk out to recess with no pushing or shoving. And then run 1 or 2 laps around the track, depending on the directions. Don't cut through the field. Make sure you go all the way around the track. Then you can play tag in the field, or soccer, or kickball. Always stay in the recess area. If it's our turn to play on the playscape, you can play on the playscape. Make sure that when you're on the slide, you only go down the slide and not climb up. Start at the top and go down to the bottom, and then get out of the way. Play carefully on the monkey bars, no pushing, and take turns. Only 3 students on the spinner. 2 students holding on, and the other one spinning them. Always keep at least 1 foot on the bottom circle. Be careful while climbing. Always use your hands and your feet. Don't take a step unless you know your feet are stable. Only 2 people at the top of the rock at a time, and no standing up. On the swings, make sure you don't jump out, and also stay out of the way. There we go. Push and let go. Yeah, like that. 1 to 4 students at a time on the round swing. Push and then let go. Make sure you're holding on to the cables. Don't crawl underneath the swing, and make sure you take turns. If you need to go to the restroom or to the nurse, ask the teacher and then go with the partner. Don't play around and come back as soon as you can. You can play responsibly with the musical instruments outside. If you see a beautiful flower, don't pick it. Just let other people enjoy the flower. Don't bring plants, bugs, or rocks into the school. For your safety, don't climb on or through the rocks to get in or out of the building. Don't play in puddles and use the sidewalk. Don't play around the stairs or around classroom windows. To keep the playground looking nice, throw away all your trash into the trash can. Come find the teacher when you hear the whistle. Now let's talk about dismissal. At the end of the day, make sure you have your lunch boxes, backpacks, and jackets. Car riders sit quietly and wait for their name to be called. Make sure you're listening and not playing around so you can hear your name when it's called. Daycare and bus riders follow their teacher to the buses. Stay behind your teacher, wave to your teacher, or give your teacher a high five before getting on the bus. Make sure you make eye contact to be sure the teacher saw you get on the bus. This is for your safety. That way we know that you got on the right bus. All right, let's review what we have learned. We know that rules are about respect. We have rules to learn, to be safe, and to have fun. Rule number 1, respect yourself, others, and property. Rule number 2, use a quiet voice. There are inside voices and outside voices, so when you're inside, use a quiet voice. Rule number 3, listen and follow directions, no matter where you are in school. Rule number 4, keep your hands, feet, and objects to yourself. And rule number 5, keep your work area and school clean. We also learned how to respectfully walk down the hall and the rules on the playground. And finally, we learned how to dismiss safely. If we follow the rules, we make friends, have a lot of fun, and do a lot of learning. That's all for now. See you next time.